So let's talk about inflation. And Rand Paul yesterday released a report that talked about our living standards and real average hourly earnings. Those things are actually decreasing. You know, when Joe Biden says, well, you just pay people more. Yeah, okay, well, that's good. Except if you're not keeping up with the rate of inflation, you're actually making less, even though they're paying you more. I know it's confusing, but you have to understand that inflation is a hidden tax, and you are not getting the bailouts. Most Americans now are starting to look at loans, especially if you're a small business owner. You've already taken out a loan or you're about to take out a loan. And the interest rates are going to go up. Another way for you to have to pay more to keep your store open, to keep your life going, to be able to buy a car. You need a car. Okay, how much is it going to cost me in interest rates? The 0 down, 0 APR, that's going to be a thing of the past. And it's going to get harder and harder for all of us to be able to survive. So I want to talk to you a little bit about inflation and what the Fed is going to do. But the problem is it's going to possibly stop the heart of a recovery. Because if you don't have a loan, if you can't get a mortgage applications are down 50% month to month. 50%. And they haven't even really started raising the interest rates. Some banks are raising the interest rates, but they're making more money because the interest rate on them hasn't been raised yet. So people are already starting to feel this crunch and this pinch. What do we do about it? And what is causing it? First thing we have to do, build back better. Must never pass. All of the spending in Washington, it is competing against you. So I was remodeling my house. We had to pour some concrete. I never knew concrete was, as difficult to get as, concrete seems like, just go to the store and get some concrete and you put it in a wheelbarrow, throw some water in it and you got it. But when you're actually, redoing a foundation or anything like that, and the concrete truck comes, it still never seemed like a big deal to me because I never had a concrete truck come to my house before. But when it comes in the pandemic, it was insane. It was insane how much money that concrete cost. All of the things that we have taken for granted are going sky high. So you're having to pay more. They're having to charge more. Your salary isn't going up quite as fast. So what do? The government is now talking about price controls. Another absolutely horrific idea. Everything that this government is now talking about and doing, I think we can see from San Francisco, none of it works. None of it works, right? I mean, San Francisco, I've always thought San Francisco was the most beautiful city in America. It's on the water. It has beautiful buildings and architecture and history and hills. And it's spectacular. It is spectacular. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, so I'm used to that kind of weather and everything else. But if you've ever visited San Francisco, 20 years ago, you know how spectacular that city is. You cannot walk the streets anymore. It is so bad. There are needles and feces, human feces, everywhere. In good neighborhoods, if you're walking your dog, I'm not kidding you, they will take your dog. You'll have your dog jacked. And they'll take it and they'll sell it for, $100. People who live in good neighborhoods can't go out and walk their dog. They can't do anything. This is a problem. And the problem is the solutions that have been given to us are making these things much, much worse. And we know it. We've seen it over and over and over again. What we're going through right now, we went through in the 1970s. Stagflation, which your cost of living is going up. It's not keeping up with your job and how much you're being paid for your job. How do I make ends meet? You cut back because things are too expensive. You're not getting the raise that you need. Everything just stops. Stagflation, high prices, no movement. In the 1970s, when we had this, and we had an oil crisis as well, Richard Nixon decided he was going to do price controls. Price controls do not work. What happens is the government comes in and says, you can't charge more than X. Well, wait a minute, but it's costing me more than that to be able to make that. So that causes more scarcity on the market because you can't make it for that price. Or if you do make it at that price, you're not making very much. So businesses are like, I can't afford to keep my doors open and just break even like that. So what do I do? So it causes more scarcity. Now, for a limited time, price controls will work. But the minute you retract them, the prices go through the roof again because the market. We have to just stop denying nature. Man, this is why capitalism works and why capitalism goes bad. Because man wants an easier life. Man wants to be successful. Man wants creature comforts. But man also gets greedy. Man also go corrupt. So the nature of things is let the free market work. Let people set the prices. Let people set the direction, not as individuals, but as a collective. Where are we headed as a nation? And encourage those people to be good, decent people. If you are teaching people to be empathetic and loving towards one another, even their enemies, that's the Western Judeo-Christian value. It is love your enemy, forgive people, move on, heal. That's what made the West. We are now denying all of those things. And we're coupling it with a market that we say is free, but it's not. At best, it's corrupt by people who do not believe in those Judeo-Christian. They believe in money. They believe in getting rich. They believe in getting ahead on the other guy. When you've lost the forgiveness and empathy part, you now are entering a part of capitalism that is bloody ugly and very corrupt. So to fix that, governments, which are completely corrupt, come in and say, you know what we need to do? We need to control this. But the people who are in charge of the control, it's like, putting the mob in charge of the police. They're corrupt. So everything breaks down. And that's where we are right now. Everything has broken down because we have denied too many truths. So how do we fix it? The first thing we do is face the truth. You know what? Our police, they have problems, but it's not the kind of problem that everybody has said it is. There are problems in the police force here and there, just like there are problems in, bakeries and Ford, the factory line. There are people there who are doing bad things. You go for those individuals and you try to correct those things. You don't say, let's reimagine the entire world. Let's reimagine police force. I'm sorry, but you can take your imagination on your time. I take the universal truths of Bad guys will only get worse if there's no law enforcement. And if there is no actual justice, if there's social justice, we're all screwed. And people will be shooting up on the streets and pooping on your front lawn while somebody else is stealing your dog while you're on a walk. That's what happens. That's where we are. So the first thing we have to do is just repoint all of those truths. We know where our cornerstones are. We just have denied them. We know what the truth really is. We've just tried to get along. Now, I take that back into the 90s, political correctness. We just tried to get along. Look, let's not. We want our kids to feel good, trophies, blah, blah, blah. All that has to end. All of it ends. It's the only way to heal. Stop denying the truth. I'm sorry. That swimmer, that's a dude. That dude should not be competing against those girls. Period. Oh my gosh, that's so hateful. That hurts. Nope, it's not. It's not meant to be hateful. You can interpret it as hateful. All I'm telling you is he's a dude. That is the truth.